So what's this webinar all about? Well, this is a new webinar. It's a webinar series, essentially. And what we're going to be doing is inviting people from within the Wakelet community, ambassadors, community members, community leaders, to come aboard and 4 at a time, 3 at a time, 5 at a time, talk about how they're using Wakelet inside their school, outside their school, in their personal lives, or however it might be. And I would, if any of you want to be a part of this webinar in the future, please just get in touch with us because, like I said, this is going to be going on every month throughout the year. But that brings me to today's guests, and I'm so happy, and it's my pleasure. I know some of you I've done webinars with before, some of you I haven't, so it's amazing to have you all here in the same place. We've got the incredible Kristina, the amazing Bonnie, the unbelievable Karyn, and of course the unimitable, I think that's a pretty good adjective, Ida, joining us today. So Kristina, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you're going to be talking about today.
Well, I'm Kristina Holzweiss, and I have to confess I'm addicted to technology. I'm excited. I know there's a lot of, education. We're going through a lot of, tough times right now, connecting with our students and trying to just get through, this pandemic. But I am so excited about how we can connect through technology. And I think about if I was a student, if I was a student back in the day, would I have these opportunities? And I wouldn't. And I think that the technology is bringing educators together, making us better, bringing students together. So I'm so excited. I'm an ed tech specialist. I was a school librarian and I was an English teacher. And like I said, I'm more excited than ever because of Wakelet and the other web tools that I use.
Thank you so much, Kristina. One of our first ever Wakelet ambassadors there, Kristina. Thank you so much for joining us. Next up, we've got Bonnie. Bonnie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am Bonnie Nieves. I'm a high school science teacher in Massachusetts, and I am from the 8th wave, the great 8 wave of Wakelet ambassadors. I agree with Kristina. The technology is what's really pulling education together right now. And I feel like because, especially in science, and especially right now, things are changing so fast. It really is great to see how Wakelet helps us curate things that are coming up immediately and we'll be able to save and refer back to later while continuing to build on our current knowledge. It's a powerful tool for students and it really does help people feel more connected.
Thank you so much, Bonnie. Really appreciate that. Next up, we've got Karyn. Karyn, do you want to tell everybody who you are?
Sure. My name is Karyn Fillhart. I am a technology training specialist for a K-12 district, but I'm also a professor at night and I teach assistive and instructional tech. So Wakelet is my go-to, especially for me. My district uses Microsoft and Google. And so I joke that Wakelet is my agnostic tool. But I'm going to show you today some ways that I use it personally. So it's not just professionally. It's one of the easiest tools I have ever trained on. I'm from the 6th wave, so a little bit ahead of Bonnie. In fact, I was telling Misbah earlier that I hesitated to learn Wakelet at the beginning, even though Kathy Kurzanowski kept telling me, you got to try it. I'm like, I can't learn one more tool. My head is full. And then I saw Wakelet and didn't turn back. I'm in it daily. So if you can guess, not that you can see the light, but I am in Southern California. So I have some sun, but would love some rain and snow because we actually had it in the 80s and almost 90 degrees last week, which is crazy for January.
Listen, I'll swap with you anytime you want. Honestly, let's just exchange plane tickets and we're done. I'd much rather be there. Thank you.
Well, my husband's aunt and uncle live near Manchester, so we've been FaceTiming with them and hearing about the weather.
Yeah, it's not great. Thank you so much, Karyn. Really appreciate it. And next up is Ida. Hey, Ida.
Hi, so my name is Ida. I'm originally from Ireland. I've been living in the States for the last 20 years, and I teach middle school French and world cultures. And Wakelet has been an incredible tool, especially with everything going on. I had probably started using it maybe about 1.5 years ago, and I dabbled in it a little bit, and I wasn't really sure what direction I was going to go with it. And then when we went into lockdown last March, then really started to use it more. And it's been a godsend, really. And we went back to in-person learning in September, and we've had sort of a hybrid model. So I have most of my kids in person with me, but I have some kids who are distance learners who are, on the screen and Google Meet with me while I'm teaching in person. So it's been crucial to have a tool like Wakelet, because it's just made lesson planning and organizing so much easier. So I'm grateful for
you're gonna make me
Wakelet.
blush. I really appreciate it. It's really nice to hear that as well, because we, at Wakelet, we have kind of gone to the effort as much as possible to make the platform suitable for in-person teaching and then also remote as well. So it's really nice to hear that. Okay, so we're gonna start in just a few moments. Thank you all so much for your introductions. These, for everybody in the audience, the educators that we're speaking to today are like true innovators. Like, we've noticed them at Wakelet for all of their incredible innovative ideas that they've been coming up with over the last few years. So, take their ideas and run with them, expand on them. Let us know in the chat which idea you really, really like and that you connect with. And also, just at the end of the session, if there's time, we're also going to do a very, very quick Q&A. I'll be selecting a few questions. So if you have any questions about what you want to hear today, please just use the Q&A box, and then just let me know who you want to direct the question to and what the question is, and we'll try and cover as many as we can. But without much further ado, Christina, how are you currently using Wakelet inside the classroom, outside the classroom? What kind of tips do you have for people?
Well, I'm using it basically to share resources. We're beginning actually now that we have approved Wakelet for students to use. So I'm very excited. I've had teachers come in and I'm already starting with the ideas that I've been having, stored up for so long that, we were sharing it, but now that students can use it, we're so excited that they're going to be using it. And then I have some personal ideas. So would you like me to show my Wakelet?
Of course. I think that's what everyone's waiting for.
So I'm going to show you my Wakelet right over here. And just make sure you can see that, correct?
Yes, we can see it.
Awesome. So first of all, I do want to show you, there you go. So that is my profile. And I want you to know that you can do that on your profile. You can put in a GIF or GIF or whatever you want to call it. You could put that at the top of your Wakelet profile. So there's a hack for you. All right. So lots of fun. So we're going to go down here and I'm going to show you the Wakelet that I made for today. Okay. All good. Can you see that?
Yes, perfect.
Great. So again, one of my favorite things is GIFs, GIFs, however you want to call them. And I create them in Canva and then I put them in Wakelet. Now, you could download from Giphy or any other place and put them, and I put them in the background. I put them at the top, but again, you don't want to detract from the user. And also, it's not totally accessible to some students, just to let you know when you have those, and especially kids who have to focus. So you don't want to use this all the time. Again, you might want to use it for adults or older learners, but this is just an example, and I just love adding them to the top. I love the fact that you could also add a flip grid. So actually, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this, I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to throw this into the chat. There you go. So I love the fact that I could just go right into Wakelet and create a Flipgrid video. I don't have to go anywhere else, create something, upload it, bring it back. I am self-sufficient in Wakelet in one spot. And I think that's what teachers need. And I think that's what students need. I think we need to think about simplicity. So in this collection, which is now in the chat, you could see I've put in some information on how you can animate with your Wakelet collections with GIFs or GIFs, and how you can use Canva, which is another great tool to create these, just like I did at the top. And also here's another video on how you can record the Wakelet, the Flipgrid Shorts camera videos right into your Wakelet. And that's what's going to happen. When you go into your Wakelet and record your Flipgrid video, it will be in your Flipgrid account in the Shorts. So you have it and you can use it for anything else that you want. So again, one-stop shop. And then one of my favorite things is using QR codes. So I've devised a way that what you can do is create a collection and invite family members and friends in, and they can record messages. And it could be a graduation, it could be a birthday party, a retirement, whatever you like. And then there's this awesome place where you can make QR code jewelry. You can make birthday cards, you can make postcards, you can make anything, but the jewelry is really cool because all they have to do is scan that QR code, which again, when you go into your Wakelet, you have a QR code right here. You scan that and they can have access to all those wonderful messages. So there's a little hack for you. And one of my favorite things is the immersive reader accessibility. So here's another video about that immersive reader. And I think that probably Karyn will probably talk more about that. So I don't want to talk about everything in the presentation, but just enough to get you thinking. So I use Wakelet for presentations. I will create a presentation and then I will share it on Wakelet. And I love the fact that in the edit mode, you can see analytics for your Wakelet. You could see how many views you've had. So this Wakelet has had more than 4,000 views. So I know that people are looking at it. So this is all a 201 epic QR codes, tips, tricks, and hacks. And it talks about all the jewelry that you can make. And it talks about other things. A lot of Flipgrid information. But again, as long as you have a QR code, you can do the same exact things with Wakelet that you could do with Buncee, that you could do with Flipgrid, that you could do anything with a QR code. So there are lots of great ideas in here. I also present to librarians. So if I have a workshop or a webinar, I will create a Wakelet and then I will share that out, just like I did with you. I will share that out during my presentation. So they don't have, as soon as you start talking, people start taking notes and you're like, no, don't need the notes. I've already created a Wakelet for you. I've created newsletters. So here is a School Library Media Center newsletter template. I noticed that someone in the chat was from a public library. So you can take this and use this idea. And what I really love is the immersive reader feature, which I'm just going to show quickly. If you are a public library, this would be wonderful for your patrons because then you could put it in any language. They could read it in any language. So that immersive reader feature is really great to connect with your community. I've used it for my professional work. I've created a newsletter for my professional sharing, and I've created one for our school. So instead of giving emails every time I find something, again, here's a GIF or GIF, like you said, right in the background, simple here. And I've made sections. I've made this heading in another program and I've imported it as a JPEG. And then I've had sections and now I could just share that one link and people can have access to everything instead of getting bombarded by emails. We're running an egg camp, an international egg camp for librarians from schools and public libraries and higher ed and special areas. And we're going to use Wakelet to curate the resources during each session. And we've also used it for our Wakelet Wave Chat curation. So really great for Twitter chats and for egg camps. And if you have never been to an egg camp, it's like an unconference. So on your own, you could take a look and you could see our egg camp. We've also started posting some things that I've created a Wakelet. You can embed a Wakelet in your website by just grabbing the embed code. So if you're going to go to share, I could also do the embed code, which would be right here, and just copy and paste that and put that in my website. So really great for blogging, really great for website design. Put a Wakelet collection, and then this way you could constantly update the Wakelet collection without updating the website. I also like it for digital reading journals where students can collect images and videos and anything related to what they're reading about, because as an English teacher and as a student who loves reading, I really did not like those journals when they say, you know, how many minutes have you read today and who is the main character and who's the set. It's just verbatim information. It's not really applying it. Whereas here, kids can create things and create a digital portfolio about their reading journey, about a book or just books in general. They can even make a journal, a Wakelet about books that they want to read, almost like a Goodreads. And then virtual maker spaces. This is just a photograph because I don't want to share my kids' personal Wakelet. But over the springtime, when we started with the pandemic and we were remote, I needed a way for my kids to let off steam, my own children. So I created a Wakelet for them. And whenever I found something interesting, I would put it in the collection and I gave them the link and I would constantly update it. And they use that even to today when they want something to do that's fun, it's raining outside, they'll go into their Wakelet collection and they'll see what mommy has put in there for them. And over the summertime, I also ran a virtual camp. So what I did was, it was on architecture. So I created a Wakelet collection about architecture, things that they can do, things that they can make, just a lot of great resources. And I put it in a Nearpod. So we went through the Nearpod, we did virtual field trips, we used Buncee, we used Flipgrid, but my resources I collected here in a Wakelet and I gave them the link in the Nearpod. So I smashed the two together. And then lastly, I love creating Wakelets that I can just share on social media. I make a little image, I'll put the link, and I just make these collections, top holiday gifts, how to make Flipgrid flip frames, how to become an ambassador for a tech web tool. And I'll just take the image, share it out, and then create the Wakelet collection and then share knowledge with people in my social media posts. So lots of fun.
I'm stunned by that, Kristina, honestly. Like, I don't know if you noticed the chat, but everybody is so enthusiastic about it. It's seeing your profile and the way that you've structured the content for your students and for your community is so incredible. I don't know if you saw me, but I was like beaming through the whole of that. It's really, really
I just saw my screen. It was quiet, and I was like, "Oh, they still."
No, it's incredible, honestly, and please go back and take a look at the chat box as well, because it's I think people share that. Amazing. Two things. I know that you showed the Flipgrid extension and the Flipgrid integration, and obviously that's been a game changer, really, because it's allowed you to bring the power of video into Wakelet. And Flipgrid have an incredible team, and what started as just you able to record video, well, now using the Flipgrid integration on Wakelet, you can record video, you can record a screen share as well, so you can actually screen record. You can also upload video, which is amazing. You can, if you've got a video clip from your phone or whatever, you can upload it onto that. And then lastly, there's also audio recording as well, just if everybody wanted to know. And then when you touched on embedding as well, yeah, a lot of people miss that. You can embed a Wakelet collection like essentially anywhere on your blog, and also most importantly on your LMS platforms as well. So you can embed a Wakelet collection into Canvas. You can embed it into Schoology, whatever platform you're using. You can just add that code in, and then everything's there in one place. Thank you so much, Kristina. If anybody has any questions about what Kristina just showed, please just send them along in the chat. Bonnie's up next. Bonnie, let's see what you've been working on.
Okay, so before I share what I'm working on, I just want to share my story about how I got introduced to Wakelet, and because it's really meaningful. It's about a couple of years ago. It was brand new, and I was using Padlet. And, Padlet and Wakelet appear to be sort of the same until you really get into it and see how much Wakelet can do. But I had questions about it, and I was just on Twitter asking my friends, what's the difference between Padlet and Wakelet? And Misbah answered me and said, wait a minute, I'll just chat with you. Let's Zoom. And the next day he was Zooming with me, walking me through it. And I thought, that is so responsive. And the whole Wakelet team really is that responsive. I amazed my students one day in a classroom because I had assigned a Wakelet through Google Classroom without realizing that when you do it that way, the kids only have view-only privileges to it. And so I sent a direct message to James, who messaged me right back, and the students were like, they answered you? Are you famous? It was just so funny. I thought, no, I'm not famous. It's just these people are amazing. They really care about their product and supporting it. So if for no reason other than that, it's certainly worth checking out.
Oh, thank you so much. We can't help ourselves, Bonnie.
Oh,
don't switch off.
You honestly can't, though. It's amazing how wonderful you all are. So I'll share my screen and show a couple of the ways that I use my Wakelet. So you can see I have my pink sparkly Wakelet here. This is what I have used in place of HyperDocs. So what I find with HyperDocs is that if I'm in a Google Doc, it's really kind of clunky to get all of the different parts into the HyperDoc and then to rearrange them once they're there. And Wakelet is so fabulous because it allows you to just, when you're editing, you can do the easy rearrange mode and just drag your pieces up to different spaces or back down. And so because of all of the different types of content you can put in, of course, don't be fooled. This says 0 views, but it's because I just created it yesterday, especially for this. I copied it from another place that had student names in it, so I didn't want their names to show. So I have their learning objective right here and their instructions for what to do. So now for kids that are at home learning remote or hybrid, they can refer back to this all the time, right? I use the emojis to help make things clearer and a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, which is another thing that's so great about Wakelet, right? You can add images that they make the content more meaningful. And my students have said that it's more engaging just because of how it looks. I give them their instructions for these are the things you're going to do. And I put, ordinarily I would put the link to Google Classroom right here, and it would just bring them right to the outside link like any other link would. And insert my Google Doc, links to websites that they can go to, YouTube videos directly inside. And another great thing about this is that when you insert a YouTube video, the default description comes out from YouTube, but you can also edit it. So if I wanted this to give the students a more clear explanation of why I think this video is important to them, this is fully editable when it's in the Wakelet. So lots of options for videos that they can use. This virtual liver is inserted just as an internet link, but then I can also insert a PDF that the kids can open up directly from here too, so they can choose to print that if they'd like. And then I ask kids to contribute work. So this actually is some of the work that students put in. And so I guess I didn't do a very good job of keeping the kids' names off because they're here, but these are the things that students contributed when I give them the instructions to show me something that helped you learn the things or meet the objectives from above. So these are things that my high school students added last summer when they were just new to their remote learning. And I gave them instructions to come in and add, come into, a one-to-one extra help session that I added that box with the text feature of Wakelet. But then kids added links to their own Wakelets because they liked it so much, they made their own curation of information to go back to. So this just goes on, but here's one example of how I used that. And then I have slow internet connection, of course I do. Another example of how I use it with students. So this is a lesson that every biology teacher, I'm guessing every biology teacher knows this one well, the whale evolution. But look at how engaging it is already with the whale images and the background that can be added in, and the immersive reader that students can have it read to them in any language, like Kristina was talking about. But this came from a worksheet that has been photocopied for generations, I feel like. And I just converted the text of that here, but then was able to add links and things to make it more engaging for the kids instead of the ordinary worksheet that they would do. So it looks pretty text heavy, but the real benefit of this is the immersive reader, where the kids can have it read to them. And for English language learners or any language learner, that is a really significant difference. And that's a really big add that Wakelet has. Then just another example of an assignment that gives kids a link, a direct link to a digital textbook. So they can choose to read the digital textbook, or they can use the YouTube links that are also in this collection. So that gives them a variety. And Wakelet allows us to have that freedom to choose which types of resources we want to add for students. And I could share a million collections, but I'll stop. The other thing I want to say about it is that there's a podcast that I heard years ago about the difference between being a curator or a dumper, right? So if people ask you, do you have anything that I could use for this? And you just give them this pile of things, or a Google Doc with links in it. We all have the friend that gives us the Google Doc with links in it. And Wakelet just makes all of that go away. It makes things so much better, where you can organize and share things more effectively.
No, that was absolutely incredible, Bonnie. I loved how it was all about the Wakelet fundamentals there, like the mixed media. What I really loved seeing from that was you sharing a collaborative collection with your students, and then them having the choice over what kind of content that they put in there. You know, some students are going to respond a little bit better to text, some are going to respond better to video, some to podcast or audio, and giving them the ability to kind of express that is amazing, because obviously you can add any kind of mixed media to Wakelet. So also the idea of bringing all that mixed media in one place as well. I love what you just touched on at the end about the difference between a link dump and an actual curated collection. With Wakelet, you can do either or. I have plenty of link dumps on my account where I've just, I just want to throw a bunch of information about a particular subject. I don't really care what order it's in, but if I'm doing it for somebody else, then I add that care and that attention, and, I'll add that cover image, that background image. I'll make sure to add my own thoughts, my own ideas, that kind of thing. So I love that. Also the collaborative element, I think, please, everybody in the chat, check out collaboration on Wakelet. Like, that's what the Wakelet platform has become. It's super, super collaborative, really, really easy to do. You share a single link with your students. They don't even need Wakelet accounts. They can join a collection. I know that we had a question about collaborative writing. It would be absolutely perfect for that. And then lastly, of course, immersive reader. Both Kristina and you, Bonnie, touched on that. Absolute game changer, evens the playing field, makes it so that regardless of age, regardless of reading ability, regardless of language, everybody gets to enjoy that Wakelet collection in the same way. So absolutely love that. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Really, really appreciate it. I'm sure that you'll be reading the comments by the side to see what was said during your segment. And next up, we've got Karyn. Hey, Karyn, show us your stuff.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and dive right in and share my screen. And I love that Kristina mentioned immersive reader, and Bonnie. I mean, immersive reader is a huge game changer. Now, hopefully, are you seeing my Wakelet collection?
Yes.
Pick the right screen. Okay, good. That's the thing when you're using multiple monitors, you're looking everywhere. So Misbah was mentioning collaborative Wakelets. We actually used one during the ISTE conference, because what I did is I shared a Wakelet with the attendees, and then they could go in and add their own tools and things that they found. So we did an accessibility tools smackdown. I'm a former special education teacher, but I also taught general education, and now I'm a tech trainer. So I kind of cover a wide variety of areas, but for me, assistive technology and accessibility is key. I have a friend who's hearing impaired. I have a friend who is losing his sight. So I've been searching for vision tools for him. I have a family member who receives special education services in my district. So it's personal, it's professional, it's important. So this was my ISTE presentation. And again, I can put in the presentation, and people have been asking about what you can put in. Yes, you can put in Google. Yes, you can put in Microsoft. You can pull from both drives, which again, that's why Wakelet is my agnostic tool, because I don't have to worry about those people who just use Google and, oh, not Microsoft, or just use Microsoft and, oh, not Google. I'm covered. I have it both all set in Wakelet. So I'm just going to go through a couple collections. Probably one of my favorites and one of the more popular ones is I started making charts because in my district, we have both Google and Microsoft. These charts compare the features from both. So our teachers have the ability to use Meet or Teams or Zoom for meeting with their students, and they were trying to figure out which one they wanted to use. So here we go. Here's a collection where I've taken each of the programs, and they're not all done. I still need to go back and update some of them, but I've taken each of these areas and done the comparison chart. So for example, in forms, a teacher was saying, I want to be able to set a time on a form. Well, no problem. Microsoft does let you set a date and a time to close a form. So all of these charts are easily shared in Wakelet. And in fact, I will put that, if you're interested, I will put that link. Let me just grab that right in the chat because I have that in a bit.ly. And it's so easy to update. I can just add those files in. And once I've shared that link, everyone can get to those charts. The other thing I've used it for is archiving my blog posts, because sometimes I'm looking for a blog post that I created, and it's a lot easier to navigate Wakelet than WordPress. Sorry, WordPress, but it's a lot quicker that I can go in and go, oh yeah, this is that blog I was talking about. And I can just grab that link and share it with someone, or I can share the whole thing. However, that's professional. Let's get personal. This is one of my favorites. Smile, laugh, and move. And I used this for the happy hour presentation for Wakelet last year. And what I did is I put in, and again, you can see the different views. This is the mood board versus, just the content there. And I can put in all these videos. I can put in links. I can put in tweets. I loved this tweet from Jen, who posts all kinds of great Microsoft stuff. This a cappella group sings all the different Windows startup sounds. It's just hysterical. And I'll put this link in the chat in a minute. But what I wanted you to see is, for example, some of these you can open in this beta. So I'm going to open this Winnie the Pooh in beta. And you get this nice, clean view without all the ads, all the distractions. My dog, one of my dogs is named Doug from the movie Up, because he's like, squirrel, what, everywhere. So when there are ads on a page, you start going, oh, well, what's that article about? What is it? All the little clickbait at the bottom. Using this, I don't have to. But here's the beauty of it. So yes, I can go into Immersive Reader, and it's already been mentioned that you can translate it and you can have it read to you. But I just have to show you kind of a nerdy way that I use it. My students use it for proofreading. So I show this tool a lot, because when they hear their reading, what they wrote read back to them, they hear their mistakes. But here's my favorite. So Winnie the Pooh, I'm a huge Winnie the Pooh fan, traditional, not Disney. So if I want to listen to Winnie the Pooh, I can choose a language. And I do not have the gift of speaking another language. But since Winnie the Pooh is from the UK, I'm going to choose English United Kingdom for my translation. So then when it reads to me, it will read it to me with the proper accent. And I know, Misbah, you're going to say, well, we don't have an accent. You have an accent. So
I don't seem to have an accent, but there's 100 different accents in the UK.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I have some of my Birmingham friends, my Liverpool friends. Yeah, there are accents. So I can go in. And so when I introduce this tool to students, I tend to do it within Wakelet. And some of them don't speak a second language, but I show them how they can change it to English with an accent and have some fun with that. So that tool is in there, and I don't want you to miss that. And then I can navigate back. The other thing I want you to see is you can drop YouTube videos in. So when you do that, and I click on it, it opens in this nice clean window. And what are you not seeing? All those up next videos on the side that often are scary things. And I say this carefully because, and my boss, my former boss has given me permission to say this. He sent us a video, a tutorial video that he had made. However, his sons had been using his YouTube account. So at the end of this very educational based how to do a grade book tutorial video, there was a video prompt saying, you might want to watch this on how to light your farts on fire. So careful who else is using your account and what your most recent videos were, because it was really funny. So here, nice and clean. However, there's a couple tricks in here, and I just have to put on my accessibility hat for a minute that you may not know about. Turn the closed captions on. Those increase their comprehension. But if you're in a hurry, you can also go into settings. You can translate your YouTube video captions for students who may need it in another language. And if you're watching a YouTube tutorial and you just don't have time to get through it, you can speed up the video and play it faster. So I love those Wakelet webinars. And if I'm short on time, I can speed it up and Misbah can talk really quickly as I go through that. So just know all those YouTube tools are still there within Wakelet. Now, last spring when I did happy hour, or last summer, actually, I think, this was one of the most popular ones I did. This is called Gardening Tips. And this is how I use it personally. I love my husband dearly, but when he gets in our garden, everything is a weed. If it's small and it's growing, it's a weed. So I went outside with my iPad and I took pictures and then I inked on each of those images. This is what a rose is that you can redhead. This is a weed. 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 And this is a weed. And so I marked all of them clearly so he could take that Wakelet collection on his phone because it's an app and he could observe all the things that I do want him to kill or pull or spray in our garden. And luckily he thought this was really funny. So I got off lucky with that. And then I'll go ahead and put the links to those collections in the chat. But I just wanted you to see that I use Wakelet personally. I use it professionally. It embeds beautifully in OneNote. I use it a lot in OneNote. And I went from sharing those hyperlinks with our teachers to creating these beautiful Wakelet collections on subjects, like all my science resources are together, all my math resources are together. And it's so easy. It's the easiest thing I think I have ever trained on. And I've been a trainer since 2008. And I've been in tech. My high school job, I was a tech trainer. I was a tech person at a stock brokerage in the 80s. So I've been in tech a long time. And I have to say, this wins. Easiest thing ever.
Oh, thank you so much, Karyn. I really appreciate that. I found that collection hilarious. It still makes me laugh. I remember when we discovered that collection, it was the talk of the Wakelet office, you know, like everybody was talking about it because we all found it so like endearing and funny. I think that one of the things which I picked up from that really I found quite profound was this idea that Wakelet as a platform does not need to necessarily be used for just academic things, right? You can use it personally for yourself. Like for me, I'm not an educator, I'm not a teacher, but I use Wakelet every single day. And there was three things, one of which I think that you were saying, which is I don't like losing information and valuable content when I find it. And a lot of the time I do. What ends up happening is, I'm a tabaholic. I've got like 50 open tabs on Chrome. And, I'm not only that, but I'm also a hoarder. So, when I click on one, I'm like, I don't want to lose that. I'm going to come back to that later, and I try and do like it's a silly way of working. Now with Wakelet, it's like every time I get something which I know that I want to keep and refer to later, use the browser extension and it's in a collection within seconds. I also love the idea of using Wakelet for fun activities with your students as well and with your classroom. So one of the best ways to get your students to understand how to collaborate on Wakelet is doing a really fun activity with them. So I know Tisha Poncho, who's appeared on a number of our webinars, started this incredible collection called the walkout music, right? So she'd basically create this collection called What is Your Walkout Music, share the collaborative link with her students, and then when the students clicked on it, they could add a link to a YouTube video of what song they would love to play every time they walked into a room. Something that's like cute and fun like that is an amazing way of explaining to them, this is how you use, collaborate on Wakelet. So I absolutely love that. Also, I think that everybody has content that they want to save, things that they want to capture. So for me, like I love travel, which is like makes this the worst time for me possibly. I love travel, and also I'm quite into like yoga and stretching and stuff. I played basketball for like 15 years, so I've got a few back spasms and a few battle scars. And what I like to do is find these really specific stretches and exercises. And if I didn't have Wakelet to capture them all, I don't know where I'd put them. So I loved your ideas there. Really, really awesome. Okay, so last up with the time that we've got left. But no pressure at all, Ida. We've gone over time many times, so don't feel like you have to narrow it down. Go ahead, please. Let us know how you've been using Wakelet.
Okay, sure. So I started using Wakelet, like I said, about 1.5 years ago. But when we went into, oh no, why is my Chrome not opening? Oh, here we go. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it now.
Perfect. So I knew that when we went back to school in September, I needed something to keep me organized, because we went back with a hybrid model, like I said, where we had some kids in person and some kids DL. But in the very beginning, for the first few weeks, we had our kids on a split schedule. So it was, the alphabet was split. So I needed a way to keep myself grounded, because I knew it was just going to be bonkers when we went back in. So I decided to put everything that I needed sort of for week 1 into a Wakelet collection. So this is just one of my collections. And, like I said earlier, I teach middle school, and with middle schoolers, you have to be prepared to be silly and goofy and humorous. And so this was a collection that I just projected on my screen so that all the kids could see it. I started with a funny meme. I had a funny YouTube video, just to sort of, this was the first day, and even the kids in person, you could see they were nervous and anxious. They've got masks on. Nobody knows who's who. So I was just trying to warm up the temperature of the classroom. This was another funny video that I shared with them this year, 2020, as told by friends. And then I dove into this feelings wheel activity, which I actually stole from our professional development that we had in my building before the students came back. This was an activity that we did as a staff. And then I was able to share Mentimeters with my kids. So I just love the accessibility of Wakelet, that, it's all this mixed media. I've got my Mentimeter links in here. I've got my YouTube. I've got, the meme, the image. So I was able to pull it all into one location so that I wasn't, jumping from tab to tab to tab. Everything was in one place for me. So this was just, I'm going to show you one of them. For example, if it comes up. So here we go. This was my 8th graders, who I have all year. My other classes are quarter classes, but my 8th grade kids I have all year long. This was their results of their feelings wheel. There was other videos that I needed for the first couple of days, like I said, always using humor with middle school kids. So I've got some funny French videos. There's a really funny scene where Joey tries to learn French in Friends, which it's so funny because now like it's come full circle. Like my middle school kids are all watching Friends. So it's kind of neat. And there's a really funny, I love SNL. There's a really good Alec Baldwin skit, Monsieur Nobec. So I play that for them on the very first day of French, and I try and tell them, like, okay, this is what you are not going to sound like, and this is the kind of French teacher that I am not going to be. And then I have other links in here. There's proficiency posters, so I can explain to them their levels of proficiency as we progress through the year. And then there's, another funny meme in here that once I teach them the introductory expressions, they get that joke. There's a song in here. I had my link in here for Dot Day, which is something else that I did the first week back of school. I'm also a Bunsey ambassador, and I love the integration between Wakelet and Bunsey. When those two worlds came together, it was like, the bliss. So Dot Day is a really fun activity. If you've never heard of it, Peter Reynolds is an amazing author who I was lucky enough to meet about 5 years ago. And one of his books is called The Dot. So I have this Bunsie here. And basically this was actually a really profound like first week activity. And I did it with all of my classes, my world cultures and my French kids, even though it wasn't really, you know, connected to French, but it was a good like first week thing. So I found this read aloud of the story. It's really cute. And then I challenged my kids to think about how can you make your mark on the world. But, you know, in light of everything that they had gone through since March of last year, it was actually really amazing to see their results and the way, you know, what they shared with me. So sorry, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. I can leave my mark. So this was my example. And that's something else that is always important for me. Anytime I ask my kids to do something, I like to show them, like, if I was a student, this is how I would, you know, respond to this prompt. So this was how can I make my mark in the world? So, you know, I challenged them to be that kind of kid. Now it's your turn. What can you do? So that was pretty neat. So that was just one. I had other things in here. You know, this is another activity that I do the first week. It's a letter. And I love that I can just, you know, take my Google Doc and plop it right into my Wakelet. So I just love how everything, even though it's all different mixed media, it all can be together in one location. One other one that I just wanted to share with you very quickly is this Musique Mercredi. So this was something that I started last year. There's two phenomenal French teachers in Maine, and they create this thing called Mani Musicale every spring. They've taken the idea of like the March Madness from basketball, that whole bracket system. And what they do is they pick 16 songs and they put it into a bracket. There's like, you can sign up to join. They send you like links. They create a website. They have a Facebook page. So what I did was we had started Mani Musicale before we went into lockdown last March. So what I did was I took their entire slideshow and I broke it down into each week that I needed for my kids. And I'm still using this year because with my 6th grade French classes, I get a new group of kids each quarter. So now I've got this one collection. Each week, all I need to do is go in, click on the Wakelet and share that link with my kids in Google Classroom. So it's super simple. So in each week, I've got like, I'll just show you here. There's usually like the slide deck that shows the videos for whatever it is, are the 2 songs for that week. So they have like, this is all from these 2 teachers. They'll give a little bit of information about the performer, then the music videos there so the kids can go in, they can watch them. And then the next thing that I put in there is the voting form. So the kids can all go in, just click on the voting form and they choose which one is their favorite. One other thing that I just wanted to show you with that one. So I have all 8 weeks as 8 separate collections and I've put them all into one collection, which also is really cool how you can put a Wakelet collection inside a Wakelet collection. Love that. This was a fun one that my kids are going to be doing next week as extra credit. It's this TikTok Thursday because one of the songs was a song that one of the songs from one of the brackets went viral. There was this article all about how it went viral all over the world on TikTok. And so I had the kids do this. So it was so funny last spring when we were, you know, wasn't seeing my kids in person and now all of a sudden they're sending me these hysterical videos. So that was pretty neat too. So I use it a ton of different ways. I've got, you know, most of my Wakelets are sort of like my lessons for my kids. What I haven't started doing yet is the collaboration piece. And that's like my next step to take Wakelet further is I'm going to start using it as a collaboration tool, which, you know, especially as a world language teacher, it's important. But I've been having so much fun creating my own collections that I don't know, I just didn't get to that part yet, but that's my next step on my Wakelet journey. So yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you so much, Ida. That was absolutely amazing. Also, I didn't notice it up until now, but you have a very interesting accent. It's like a mixture of Irish and like an American accent.
I know.
It's really sweet.
Oh, thank you. It's funny because my own 2 kids will always tell me that it's much stronger when I'm talking to my family on the phone or like in a Zoom or something. But yeah, and then sometimes I hear myself speak and I say, oh my God, that sounded so American. So yes.
I'm sure it comes out when you're angry as well.
Yeah. Or had, one or two glasses of wine.
Great. No, I absolutely loved everything that you showed there. I think the things that I kind of took away from that is I loved your use of layouts in it. I think that quite often people miss that you have 4 different ways to actually show Wakelet collections and showcase them. Right at the beginning, like from the top down, like Jamil, the founder of Wakelet, is super about having things really visual and really well designed. So we wanted people to be able to express their collections in a number of different ways. We're going to be adding more layouts, of course. But everybody, it was really interesting just to see how everybody used different layouts depending on what the objective was. If you're making a comparison, grid layout's great. If it's just a kind of organized chaos, mood board is perfect for that. My favorite's media view though, just because the content gets embedded. So I loved your use of layouts depending on the type of content that you wanted to share.
Thank you.
Secondly,
it's funny because I sometimes I'll make one and then I'm like, okay, let me try it in this layout and see how it looks. And then I'm like, no, I'm gonna go back. So
yeah, I'm the same entirely. I also loved what you said, like having that emotional impact with your students, that we get these stories every single day where a simple prompt on Wakelet has led to these really beautiful emotional moments that students have been able to share. And it doesn't necessarily have to be through a Flipgrid video. It could be something as simple as like, what song do you find really moving? Or what is your comfort movie? Just any question like that. And the prompts that the students respond with are very eye-opening. And I think it's as a way of helping you kind of connect with your students and your students connect with each other. Really, really beautiful stuff. And lastly, you showed like a voting form as well.
yes.
That went off into Google form. So this links into something quite exciting because we're going to be bringing out reactions on Wakelet very soon. So we want to make Wakelet really familiar when it comes to like the things which students and educators and everybody's used to seeing on social media. So things like being able to react and show how you feel. But we don't want any of the distractions of social media either. But reactions, we've got 5 awesome reactions which are going to be coming onto Wakelet very soon. And a lot of educators have been saying that they're going to be using those reactions as a way of like almost like a cool voting process. So which book would you like to read? Do the thumbs up for this and we'll see which one wins, or do the high five sign for this, whatever. So yeah, keep an eye out for reactions. They're going to be coming very, very soon. It looks like we've got like 2 minutes left, everybody. But what I wanted to do was just before I kind of wrap up with a couple of reminders and like announcements and everything, I wanted to go through everybody again and just kind of get like a last word or like a message to the educator community, if you can, or I mean, I don't know, I know it's kind of on the spot. I tend to do it, or it could just be your experience right now. I know that a lot of educators are struggling, and I think it's really nice to see people relate to those issues as a community. So whoever wants to jump in first, go ahead and do it.
I guess I'll go. I am right now in the office of my high school. I have students upstairs who are with my co-principal, who is watching my class for me. And we're hybrid. I had a ton of students out today because they're quarantined, and I have other students who Zoomed into class. So we're all in it together.
I think one beautiful thing that has grown from this is people's hearts have just opened to one another. Like people are sharing content like never before, things like on Twitter, like the educational world in Twitter, it's like, it's like just explosive how people are like, hey, I've got this great idea. Hey, you should do this. Oh, thank you. And it's just, I mean, the whole realm of education, I think, is changing. Like not just, masks and social distancing, but people being like more conscious of one another. And there's just been so much kindness, I feel like. I don't know. I always try and find the positive.
I think too, we keep hearing about learning being lost. And I wrote a blog post about this recently because I just needed to get my thoughts out. But I was talking to my neighbor whose child is learning better because he's not distracted by everything in the classroom. And I think we also need to take this as it's not learning lost. They've all been learning. Teachers are working, we're busy, we're fried. But also think of the skills our students are walking away from. They're learning to collaborate, they're learning to work together, they're learning to troubleshoot. I usually support about 1,200 teachers and those who are using technology. Right now, my 3 colleagues and I are supporting 26,000 families and all teachers, because every single one of them are using technology and are starting to see some of these joys. And I know Christina on Twitter, we've been connected for a while. We share a lot. We are both happy sharers. You don't need to buy our book. You don't need to, here it is. Here's our tweets. Here's our Wakelets. Here's our collections. And I think that's come out of this too, is that more people are going, you know what, I created this, don't reinvent the wheel. We're here for you and we're happy to help.
You know, the irony is the more we are so separated, but I've created some really great friendships from people all over that I don't think I would have before. And I'm separated, but I don't feel that. I don't feel isolated. I feel connected. I feel part of one large community, a global community with all of you.
Yeah, I feel the same as well, Christina. I mean, thank you all so much for your beautiful messages there. Honestly, they mean a lot to people watching. I think when you have a particular fear or an anxiety, and then you see somebody else talk about it, it's like a weight off your shoulders. You know, as Bonnie said, we're literally all in this together. And I think that doing things like this, where a few hundred of us can all come together and just share a nice moment over an hour and talk about things which are, education related and non-education related, are, that's what keeps us going through all of this, I think. I want to thank you all so much for joining us, or joining me and the audience. We really, really appreciate it. Please, everybody as well. I think that one of the highlights of my month was us announcing that the Wakelet Community Impact Award. This is something which is really close to our hearts. So we're going to be giving away $10,000 to an educator or somebody in the community who's made a really big impact on their community. This doesn't even have to be an academic impact. It doesn't have to be COVID related. It's just a figure in the community who has done something to impact the rest of their community. So I'm going to drop the link at the bottom here. And if you want to nominate yourself, or if you want to nominate anybody else in your community, go ahead and add them to that. Just create a quick collection on the things that they've done. And we'll be announcing it during Wakelet Community Week in June. We've also got 2 runner-up prizes of $2,500 as well. So it's our way of basically saying thank you to the incredible people that make up this community. And also along that way, we're going to be sharing all of your amazing stories that we get through as well. Lastly, if any of you in the audience today want to appear on one of these community showcase webinars, obviously this one is the first, please send a message to community@wakelet.com and just let us know what it is that you'd like to speak about, and why you'd like to appear on it, and we'll see what we can do. So thank you all so much for joining us. I know that we've run over 4 minutes, which is not bad considering it's me hosting. And I want to thank everybody, Karyn, Ida, Bonnie, Christina, thank you so much for joining. It means so much to us, honestly. Please, guys, feel free now to stop your video and mute your mic, or just leave, because what I do is I leave the chat running for about 5 minutes just for everybody to kind of catch up if they've missed any links. And everybody in the audience you'll receive an email with a certificate and a link to the actual video, plus the resources which were shared today as well, everybody's profile. But that's all from me. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.